everyone. Thank you for coming to the UW System Virtual Career Trek featuring Gundersen Health System and hosted by the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. My name is Brenda Leahy. I'm Interim Assistant Director in the Academic Advising and Career Services Office, and so happy to welcome you here today. UW System Career Treks is an initiative between all the UW System Career System offices. We're holding virtual visits to employers from across the state this fall and next spring. There'll be 13 different treks each semester with a different UW hosting each week. Next week's trek, we'll be going to the central part of the state and visiting with Greenheck, and that will be hosted by UW Stevens Point. I want to thank my colleagues across the state that have helped put together this fantastic series of events, and give a special shout out to Haley Carr at UW Superior for managing our technology. For all of our students joining us today, please make sure to fill out the registration form, which you can find in the chat. This will allow us to track who's in attendance, and we'll be able to share it with each of your universities. So please make sure to do that. Also, if you have any questions for our guests today, please also make sure to use the chat. We hope to have an opportunity to answer your questions while you're here during the time that you're with us. If you've ever been to the La Crosse area, you are certainly aware of our guest employer. Not only are they one of, if not the largest employer in the area, but they also have such a positive impact in the entire community. They are known for excellent health care, but also give back and support the Coulee region in many ways. Today, we welcome Chris Stauffer. He is a senior consultant in corporate communications. He will be sharing information about Gundersen Health System and facilitating a panel for us. Take it away, Chris.
Thanks, Brenda. You should have my job. Nice job. Kind of hard to follow that up, but I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today on behalf of Gundersen Health System. I should probably tell you a little bit about who I am. I've been at Gundersen for 15 years. I've been formerly in the media business. I used to be an anchor on television, so I decided to go to what they call the dark side and went into the public sector, if you will, after being in the media. I've been here, like I said, for 15 years. My job, as Brenda mentioned, is a senior consultant in corporate communications. That's just a fancy way of saying that I work in public relations at Gundersen Health System. So it's my job to kind of brag about what we do, to talk a little bit about where we are and how we do what we do, everything from our culture to how we take care of patients, and really from the administration right on down. So a little bit about what we're going to have today. I want to first of all say that if you want to learn more about Gundersen, obviously you can go to our website, gundersenhealth.org, and that's Gundersen with an S-E-N, by the way. And you're going to get a ton of information on that website. Today, we're going to do several things. I want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to send in your questions. Please do so. We want to tell you about who we are, what we do, all about our culture, as I said. We want to talk about the plentiful opportunities for employment in our area. We, of course, hire providers and nurses and lots of fantastic skilled employees, people who work behind the scenes. And we want to kind of pull back the curtain on what Gundersen Health System is all about. So we're going to begin a little bit. I want to talk about, first of all, the fact that we're a multi-specialty integrated system. Big fancy words, right? What that means is essentially we work with a lot of different areas. And we work together. So from clinics to nursing homes to patients who need renal dialysis, to even a Gundersen Medical Foundation where they raise money to do things like research. This is all working together. And our doctors, this is the integrated part of it, at least in my understanding, our doctors work for Gundersen Health System. Many other systems do not have their providers actually working within the system. They're actually off on their own and work for the under their own heading or under their own umbrella. But at Gundersen, we actually employ the doctors themselves. So we are a multi-specialty integrated health system. And again, that's just a fancy way of trying to say that we work together. Where are we located? As Brenda kind of alluded to, we're kind of a big health system, believe it or not, but we're kind of quiet about it. That's not necessarily great news from my standpoint because I'm in public relations, if you will. And we're based in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We are on the west coast of Wisconsin. We have a fantastic location here along the mighty Mississippi River, and on one side of La Crosse is the Mississippi River. It goes very close to the downtown area. And then on the other side of La Crosse is these beautiful, gorgeous bluffs. And we serve patients and hire staff for clinics, hospitals, labs, nursing homes, and we do so. And if you can see this from the graphic here, from really a tri-state area, this is really our service area. So it's quite large, actually. In fact, if we can, I think we're going to put up a polling question just to talk a little bit about how many employees, this might be surprising to some people, how many employees work for Gundersen Health System across all of our locations. If you want to just take a guess, you certainly can. And we're going to share that with you in about 20 seconds or so. But as an employee for me for the last 15 years, we have grown exponentially. In fact, we just recently added a hospital in Wabasha, Minnesota. If any of you have seen the movie Grumpy Old Men, which I'm not saying that many of you have, but that movie was actually based on some folks that live in Wabasha, Minnesota. So here are the results. Most folks are saying about 8,500 employees. 59% of you say that's your educated guess, and that's right. I guess when in doubt, sometimes you just choose C, right? We actually, by adding Wabasha, we have actually gone over the 9,000 employee threshold. So while the answer is 8,500, we're going closer to the 12,500 and looking for more and more employees each and every day. So that's a little bit about where we are. Again, we're in the tri-state area. I like to tell people that we're kind of that medium-sized community. So if you're from a small town, I'm from a small town in southwest Wisconsin called Boscobel. And that's a city about the size of, well, it's about 5,000 people. So to me, La Crosse was a big community. But I didn't necessarily want to live in a city. But it's got the city amenities, but with the small town feel. And that's one of the things that I certainly love about La Crosse. And that's one of the reasons that so many people choose La Crosse, because we're close to Madison, Milwaukee. We're close to Minnesota, meaning Minneapolis. We're also close to, you know, if you're a Big Ten football fan, for example, we're close to the Badgers, we're close to the Gophers, and we're close to the Hawkeyes. And I actually hear of many people who go to games just about every weekend, whether it's basketball, football, or baseball. So if you're a sports fan, you're in a good location, not to mention the fact that obviously we've got the fantastic Eagles here at UWL, and I'm sure Brenda would love to talk more about that. But we're going to move on instead, Brenda, and we'll go to our next slide here. I think it's not advancing for me for some reason, so not sure if we're stuck, but we are, there we go. We'll talk a little bit about our mission. This can bore people pretty quickly, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but I think it's important to share that we put patient care and education and research ahead of anything else. Why that's different with Gundersen Health System is a lot of people think of healthcare as being, I'll say, flat out expensive. I have healthcare myself, and nobody wants to get a bill for healthcare. So you look at the expense of healthcare, but the way Gundersen does it is they put patients, families, and the communities that we serve first. And that starts with the provider. Different with our organization is that our provider actually is teamed up with another person from administration, and our provider drives what our administration does to take care of patients. So patients come first, versus the administrator is telling the doctors or the providers or the nurses or our clinicians what to do. It's a very different concept, but it has worked out really well. So we are a doctor-run health system, and they partner with people on the business side. That's kind of the best way of looking at it. And it's a different way of looking at at healthcare. And it's been, I'll say, very successful. Quick note about our strategic plan. A lot of people like to just touch on this because people want to understand the culture. So this is what we would call our strategic plan that is really through next year. Throw a pandemic in there and it's hard to sometimes follow through on strategic plans, but it's called the Triple Aim, and it's really our organizational focus. A lot of people are surprised to hear that we are $1 billion organization and we're responsible for about 100,000 lives in our community. So we do have a big presence in Western Wisconsin, Southeast Minnesota, and Northeast Iowa. If an example can be given, if an accountant in healthcare, if that's the job that someone was out there looking for, it would feel very different being an accountant in a non-healthcare organization like Gundersen Health System. So kind of an important little aspect, I think, for all of us to understand. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I will certainly say that it is one of the cooler aspects of working at Gundersen Health System is that we have far-reaching goals, but we put our patients first and families and the communities that we serve first as well. We're looking for staff. What does that mean? We're looking for people in healthcare. We're looking for people behind the scenes in healthcare. And we have a philosophy of enriching the lives of the staff that are here. The best way to put that is there's just lots and lots of opportunities. I want to talk a little bit about that. It's not just about choosing an employer. When you're out there looking, whether you choose Gundersen Health System or someone else or another location, you're really connected to the purpose of that organization. I think all of us, especially I'd say people at my age, didn't necessarily look at that. You just hope that your goals and values would match up with the goals and values of your employer. Well, it's important for us, I think, in today's world to talk a little bit about that. And one of the things that we do with our staff is you can see there that we're really connected to the purpose, to your inspiration and what makes a difference for you. As a staff member, you're part of a high-performing team who supports each other. We communicate very differently. We communicate really quite effectively across the spectrum of healthcare. And the goal is to not just enrich the lives of our patients, their families, and the communities, but also we're patients and we have families and we want to enrich each other's lives as well. So you're supported really here in a variety of different ways at Gundersen Health System, and it's a way for us to learn and to grow and for you to be a part of that purpose. Lots of different opportunities to do that. And oh, by the way, this is huge. Ideas here are valued. They are expected to shape the work that you do every day. And oftentimes that work has a direct impact on patient care, on the community, and they're listening. I will tell you right now, they are listening. So those are some of the core things, and certainly just wanted to share that. Here's a few of the examples and I'll remind anybody, if you have questions, certainly to put those in the chat right now, and we'll get to those in just a moment. We also want to introduce you to a couple of employees here in just a couple of minutes, and they might have some things to share about this as well. But here's some of the things that are happening within the walls and outside the walls of Gundersen Health System. We believe in community health, population health. We are trying to take care of the communities that we serve, and that might mean meals for folks that are in an underserved area. That might mean being a part of our Global Partner Project. And Global Partners is a fantastic opportunity. Global Partners is really mentoring in some local schools, some of them right in our own neighborhood here, but also mentoring in Ethiopia, Nicaragua, and the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. We have teams going to these locations, and they do so on their own volition. They volunteer to go and use their skills, whatever those skills might be in those different locations. That's a Global Partners opportunity that you're not required to be a part of, but is certainly an opportunity for many to be a part of. We are also huge on environmental stewardship. Gundersen Health System made history a few years ago. I believe it was in 2014. We became the first place to be energy independent. And essentially what that means is that anything that we were doing to produce energy, our carbon footprint, we were offsetting that energy through other opportunities like a solar panels, like a wind farm. Actually, Gundersen has 2 wind farms under its environmental portfolio. So we're doing our best, no matter how you feel about climate change. We have been doing our best really since about 2004 to offset our carbon footprint. And we're doing that in a variety of ways, like I said, with solar power, with wind power. We have what's called a biomass boiler. That biomass boiler takes wood chips that were left over from oak trees that were being harvested in southwest Wisconsin, uses those wood chips and throws them into a boiler, and that heats our hospital. We also have underground thermal that we use right underneath our parking lot. So some really cool opportunities there for those of us who want to do better for our communities, but also really for our environment as well. And then lastly, I wanted to share too that tuition investment is something that Gundersen believes in immensely. And for those people who want to continue their education, over the past 3 years, Gundersen has spent over $1 million each year on our tuition investment program. That means that when you go back to school, we're going to try to help you financially make that happen. I just think that's absolutely one of the greatest opportunities that anyone could want to do to be able to learn and grow. And remember that we want to be a high-performing team, and we want you to feel satisfied as well. So please send in your questions. We're happy to get to those as you do. We want to also let you know that we have lots of different positions here at Gundersen that are open right now. In fact, we have another poll question for you. In fact, here it is. How many positions, we'll give you about 30 seconds to take a quick shot at this one. How many positions does Gundersen Health System currently have open or hiring for right now? And I can tell you that as I've seen Gundersen change over the past 15 years, it's been just really cool to see how our hiring process is and how we really try to make sure that we're choosing folks that really want to be a good match for our culture. And I'll ask some of our coworkers a little bit about that here in just a little bit. So we're going to close out the poll, and we'll throw that answer up right now. Many people guessing 100 to 200 jobs are open, and the actual answer is, believe it or not, 350 to 450 are open at just about any given time here at Gundersen. And our HR folks don't like to hear that. They'd like to have it very few, but that's good news for you if you're out there searching for a job. We have another poll question. What percentage of our workforce is directly related? I'm going to have her throw that up there. What percentage of our workforce is directly related to the medical field or patient care? In other words, these are the people that are seeing patients. What percentage of our workforce is directly related to medical field, the medical field, or to patient care? So there's lots of folks that are also behind the scenes. And we're going to give you a few seconds to just kind of consider that option. Well, the answer to this question is 2/3 of our workforce is directly related to the medical field, which still leaves great opportunities for graduates in non-clinical majors as well. So kind of surprising. Another fun fact, we have about 750 unique positions within Gundersen Health System. And I can also share with you that we have a few people that we want to introduce to you. And I'm going to see if I can get my screen to kind of share, to make sure that they're all here. But they are Kelly Arneson. Kelly is an HR data analyst. Josh Haas, he is a logistics materials specialist, and Alex Vries is a network engineer. I believe Tracy has joined us as well, Tracy Warzak, and she's an RN. and we're going to pose a few questions for them, and we invite you to pose a few questions to them as well. We're going to stick with that order with Kelly, Josh, Alex, and Tracy, and have you just kind of go around a little bit. And I'd just like, Kelly, if you wouldn't mind, please tell us about the best thing that you would like to share in regards to the culture at Gundersen Health System.
Sure. Hi, this is Kelly, everyone. So I started with Gundersen about 3.5 years ago, and like Chris said, I'm in HR. I do analytics for them. I would say that the best thing about the culture is that you can tell that you're not just a number. I've worked at an employer that definitely did make me feel like that, and I didn't think that a place like this existed. I am not your traditional healthcare background. My background is completely in numbers, finance, data. And so you could say I stumbled upon Gundersen, but I am extremely glad that I'm here because they are so supportive.
Next up, Josh. Same question. Best part of the culture?
I guess it's just going to work every day would be, you're working with people who want to accomplish something. They want to build something. So I guess that would be the best part of the culture for me in my job.
Next up, Alex.
Basically it just feels very inclusive. Everybody's out to help each other and get something accomplished for the day.
Thanks, Alex. Tracy, are you there? All right, I don't think Tracy joined us. So I'm gonna move on to the next question, and that's opportunities. Kelly, the question to you, what are you looking at when you think about opportunities at Gundersen Health System? Do they exist? What kind of opportunities intrigue you?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, whether that's in different areas like HR versus finance, marketing, all those different areas. Even just different locations. As you mentioned, we're all over the place. So you could work on the main campus down at the hospital or in the main clinic, or you could be up at SSB in Alaska. I personally am at Bell Square, if you've seen that in downtown La Crosse. It's an amazing building. So just all over the place, no matter who you are, you could fit in.
You mentioned that you're in downtown La Crosse, so you can walk down to the river at lunchtime then.
That's true.
Yeah, right along the Mississippi River.
Awesome.
Interesting. Josh, same question to you. What kind of opportunities intrigue you at Gundersen Health System that you feel like are important to share with those that might be checking in today?
I guess mine is more related to my role. In my role, I'm kind of like the inventory buyer for all of the 2,500 items we keep in the warehouse. And I guess there's always like an issue or an anomaly with a forecast or a vendor. So there's always an opportunity to like improve our current situation for supplies. So I guess that's how I'd relate that question.
And do your supervisors listen to you?
Yeah, of course. My boss, I have a really great boss. He's very aware of what's going on and always tries to help out.
Thank you. Alex, same question to you. Opportunities.
Yes, in the IT field, Gundersen offers many opportunities from security to server administration and network.
You feel like it's a great opportunity to also have your, I'll say your suggestions heard?
Yes, I basically take everything that I guess some of what I learned in college and building upon the experience to make decisions for such a huge company is awesome.
And you're a network engineer. What surprised you most about taking the job at Gundersen Health System?
I guess I just didn't realize how big the organization was and how widespread it was. I thought it was mostly centralized to Onalaska, La Crosse area and not a tri-state region.
Before I move on to Kelly, I want to ask you, I'll give you the first crack at this question. What's the best part about living in the area? Because a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar, Alex, with this area. What do you find the most intriguing? That question is for you, Alex.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
No problem. Living in the La Crosse area, what are some of the things that you like most about living on Wisconsin's West Coast?
I really like the what you can do like outdoors. You got the river, fishing, hiking. There's mountain biking trails, and just a lot of other things to do out in the community, restaurants, and
It's kind of a pretty place to live, that's for sure. Kelly, what about you? What's one of your favorite things about living in this area?
Well, Chris, you talked about how this is kind of the middle of the road, that you'd started out living in Bosqueville, and this is a big city too. So I'm the opposite. I grew up in Madison, spent the first 22 years of my life there. So this place seems small in comparison, but it's a great city, and there's no traffic. I mean, not really. People call it traffic, not traffic. That's my favorite.
Yeah, you've seen traffic, and what we have in La Crosse is not traffic. Yeah.
Nope.
And working in the downtown area, you find the opportunities in downtown La Crosse and really throughout the area. I know Alex touched on restaurants and some of the opportunities to do things outdoors. What do you find intriguing about it?
Yeah, I love being able to get anywhere in about 10 minutes, but I enjoy the Pearl, so anybody that goes to UWL can recognize that name for sure, and if you're not from here, come visit. But yeah, the restaurants as well for me, just to have those options when I walk out my door at work.
That's great to hear. Josh, your turn.
I'm a avid outdoorsman, so I enjoy all of the hunting and fishing. In this area, there's just an abundance of opportunities for that, and it's really like phenomenal compared to other places around the state.
Josh, what surprised you the most about Gundersen Health System?
I guess it's just the effect that you have. Like, I came from a different job where it was kind of like you were just a number. And here you're actually like, if something happens, like I have a direct effect on the patient experience. So I guess it's like everybody's important and everybody has a role in making the organization continue to turn. And that like really makes you feel important.
Especially in today's world with your job in logistics, trying to find things like supplies, PPE, different things. There's a lot of pressure. You're a very integral part of the support system for our clinicians.
Yep, it's a lot to take on at times.
Yeah, well,
Chris,
thanks for all you do.
That's actually a question we have in the chat. Can we have each of them describe their position maybe a little more thoroughly?
Josh, why don't you go ahead since you got your mic on?
So I'm the logistics materials specialist. So we have, we just put up a new warehouse in West Salem, Wisconsin, which is like, I don't know, 10 minutes away from La Crosse. And I'm the only person who forecasts and buys all of the inventory that we keep on the shelves in the warehouse to supply our hospitals. So that's like 2,300 items. So basically you have to monitor all of those, the inventory levels, make sure your warehouse doesn't get overstocked. As far as like college experience for this, like I would say a lot of Excel helps, and knowing basic statistics to know like how demand works into a forecast.
And Josh, where did you go to school?
I went to UWL actually for finance.
Okay. Kelly, your turn, same question. A little more about your role and where you went to school.
Sure. Okay, I graduated from UW Whitewater, and in this role, I do workforce planning. So what that means, kind of fancy term for looking at staffing, and as we've talked about with over 8,500 individuals here, the coordination of that can be kind of intense. As you know, or maybe you don't know, when you're in a hospital setting, in inpatient setting, the census can fluctuate all over the place. You have to be able to grow your staff, shrink your staff, sometimes at a moment's notice. And I think everyone's probably pretty aware of COVID right now. So that's a great example of how I've been working with different staff in our inpatient and our outpatient settings to make sure that we have enough nurses, that we have enough CNAs, that we have people on the right shifts on the right days at the right times. And one of the projects that I had when I started here that I now can say that I feel accomplished in and certain of is that I was asked to forecast to see how many new graduates we needed. So for our RN graduating classes that come around in May and December, we need to make sure that we have enough people hired so that we can sustain through the entire year when it's October and there's a drought of graduates and we need individuals. So to make sure that we have that staffed correctly. So that's what I do. Fun.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kelly. And by the way, we are aware of COVID. I've got my hand sanitizer right here and I'm still wearing the mask. So just so you know. Alex,
Okay,
what about you? Network engineer is your role. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and where you went to school?
Yes, I work in information systems department as a network engineer, and basically I configure equipment to provide computer systems to be able to communicate with each other. So I configure routers, switches, wireless network to basically just get everything connected and be able to work together. We're also right now, there's a lot of people transitioning to work from home, and we're trying to get everything spun up for that. We've been doing that all summer.
Yeah, I'll bet you have been. A lot of people working from home, that's for sure. Alex, where'd you go to school?
I went to school at UW Stout and majored in computer networking and information technology.
All right, interesting. And where are you originally from?
Originally from the Rochester, Minnesota area.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting. So not too far away from home here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I think that's what, an hour away?
About an hour.
About an hour away. Okay, well, great to have you and great to have all of you here too. I do want to talk a little bit more if we can. And if there's other questions, Brenda, maybe I should ask if there's other questions that have populated.
We have one other question. What types of jobs are available for students who are still working on a degree?
That's a great question. Kelly, you're in HR. What would you like for that? You kind of touched on it a little bit.
Okay, I'll toss some stuff out there, and then I'm also going to toss this to Heather too, since she's the manager of recruitment. So there's a lot of positions actually that are available in both the healthcare setting and then the behind the scenes before you have a degree. And with our TIP program, you can actually use that as an employee to pay for some of your degree. So medical assistant, you can get a certification. There's a lot of different techs, whether that's certified nursing assistant, a medical assistant, there's a surgical tech, perioperative tech. There's all different things that you can go for before you're actually graduating.
The TIP program that you mentioned is the Tuition Investment Program, which is, so TIP is an acronym for that, and that is that we help you go to school. We help pay for your school, and not all employers have that opportunity. So that's kind of cool. Heather Trimborn is HR. Do you want to touch a little bit about on that question?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. My name is Heather Trimborn, and I'm, as Kelly mentioned, the manager of Recruitment Services. So we have tons of opportunities. It really depends on what your area of interest is. But I do think that it's a great way while you're still going to school to get involved in a healthcare system, to get a feel for that and to start to build your network. It could be environmental services, which is folks who are cleaning, but yet you're going to get a really strong sense of how the operations side works. Or it could be some of the roles that Kelly mentioned. I think that if you are interested in going to our career site, Chris had referenced it earlier, Gundersen Health.
.org. Yeah.
I'm sorry, .org. And you can do /careers at the end. And that will give you a list of our job openings. As the polling question referenced earlier, we have a ton of job openings, but you can then get that tuition investment money if you work at least part-time. Even if you're not doing that, there are volunteer opportunities. Right now with COVID, obviously we have to be a little bit thoughtful with the places that we're positioning people or placing people, but yeah, check us out.
I want to go back to, if we can, and thank Heather for that. That's gundersenhealth.org, and that's Gundersen with an S-E-N. But if you type in Gundersen wrong, it's still going to show up on your in your search. I'll tell you that right now. We are a $1 billion organization. We're not as small as people might think. And I think that's one of the things that both Alex and Josh and Kelly touched on a little bit. I want to go back to Kelly, if we can, and ask her a little bit about some of the opportunities to participate in the community. And if she feels, and I want to ask Alex and Josh the same question, if they feel like they have opportunities within their employment to do things in the community that they feel make a difference beyond the walls of their employer.
Sure, yeah. So one of the things that I participated in, you mentioned with Global Partners, that we do mentoring at Hamilton Elementary School in La Crosse, and I did that for a year, and it was amazing to see how many Gundersen employees care and want to be involved in the lives of those kids. And all it was is sitting down, having breakfast with them in the morning. I mean, we're talking maybe 20 minutes, and these kids, their whole day was changed, and it was awesome to participate in that, and completely supported by everybody that I work with, from my boss to my team and anybody else involved. And on top of that, we do food drives, and we have departments that help out at Christmas time to get supplies to teachers, because a lot of those teachers are paying for their own stuff for their own classrooms. We have departments that get together to do pen pals with Hamilton students. So it's an amazing thing and totally supported.
Josh, same question to you. Opportunities to participate in the community to make a difference. Not that you have to, not that you're required to, but those opportunities are kind of cool to be able to consider.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for that here at Gundersen. I've only been here for 6 months, so I actually haven't done any of those, but you see the emails coming around for like food drives starting now that it's starting to get closer to the holiday season. And I know that they always do like run walks and all of that jazz.
Yeah, kind of cool. Alex, same thing for you. Were you surprised at the amount of opportunities that there are beyond the scope of your job?
Yes, Gundersen does a lot of different opportunities, like the Children's Miracle Network telethon, and as well as Stepping Out in Pink. And those are, I guess, two things that I've helped set up.
Yeah, Stepping Out in Pink is a huge fundraiser in our community to help with breast cancer. It provides funding for folks who are trying to recover from breast cancer. It gives money to help pay bills, and there's also some major research being done right in La Crosse, and that's on breast cancer itself. And that money that is raised through that walk, and again, it's called Stepping Out in Pink, that money part of it goes to that research. So pretty cool opportunities. Brenda, any other questions out there? We're kind of winding down here on time. I think we got just a few minutes left. If you have anything else that you want to.
We have a couple.
Okay.
This one might be for either Kelly or Heather. Does Gundersen have any summer CNA positions?
Go ahead, Heather.
We are always looking for people to assist us with in CNA positions. We are finding that sometimes in healthcare it can be difficult to figure out the scheduling, but I know that our recruiter is very open to talking with you about your availability and figuring out a spot that might work for you. We have sort of what we would call evergreen, meaning always open positions for CNAs, as well as medical assistants. So if you're looking to get into a healthcare field and you want to either start in that role, or you know somebody who wants to make that for either yourselves or somebody else their career path to stay in, a forever CNA or a forever MA, we are absolutely interested in that. So yes.
Brenda, another question.
Yes, a couple questions about if there are job shadowing opportunities or internship opportunities.
Sure. We haven't spent a lot of time on talking about internships today because with the pandemic, that is something that we just don't know when those opportunities are going to resume for students to be inside our walls. So unfortunately, that's a little bit difficult to answer right now. You know, you can continue to check our website. If or when those opportunities come back, we would post those. In the meantime, again, there's other opportunities that are actually paying jobs that you can partake in if you're interested in getting some exposure to healthcare.
So the answer there is keep looking, and hope also that this COVID stuff wanes and goes away, because that will certainly help. Brenda, any other questions?
Well, people are interested to know what you look for in a resume and how a candidate can stand out in your hiring process.
Sure. So we get about 25,000 applications every year. So that's a lot of people to look through and try to figure out how they differ from each other, what makes each individual special. So what I would say is when you're applying for jobs, all of our jobs you would apply online. And so you'd want to make sure that you're thinking about, why should we pick you? What sets you apart from somebody else? What are those transferable skills? What are those opportunities that you've been able to partake in through your educational experience or your life experiences that allow you to have transferable skills? And when I say transferable skills, I mean something like maybe you've had to lead a group. You know, maybe you've done coaching or mentoring. Maybe you've done a lot of presentations or held a leadership role or been a member of a committee, those kinds of things. So I think it's really important for people to think through how can they differentiate themselves from others so that they stand out with the application and or resume. I would also say make sure that you do include a cover letter. It's a great way to get a feel for your personality and focus on some of those things that do differentiate you and some of those special qualities that you have that maybe somebody else doesn't.
You might be surprised. And the other thing is, it's always good to be able to spell Gundersen right. We kind of joke about it. We were talking about how to spell GundersenHealth.org, that it's Gundersen with an E-N, U-N-D-E-R-S-E-N. And it's amazing how many people will actually spell that wrong. And that sometimes can separate you, one good candidate, from another good candidate. So, you know, those little details sometimes are, I think, important. Right, Heather?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Anything else, Brenda?
A couple more. Do you have any suggestions for someone looking for a path in healthcare administration?
Sure. You know, that's a pretty broad field, so I'm not exactly sure what direction to head here, but I'll give you a couple tidbits. I think that it's very helpful to get a sense of the culture of healthcare and get a feel for again, you could start in any one of the various roles that we have available, but kind of trying to figure out, okay, what am I trying to do? What experiences am I trying to get? It will help you build your knowledge of healthcare as an industry, but it'll also help you network within our organization. So even though that's a little bit different than an internship, that could be helpful. If you're looking for leadership roles, if you're thinking healthcare administration in terms of a leadership role, then I would start to make sure that whatever you're doing currently, that you're trying to get those opportunities to, again, either lead committees or be a part of a committee or lead project work, something that will give you those skills of critical thinking and strategic planning and some of that.
And partnering too, because for Gundersen, as we were saying, the way our system is set up, our integrated system, our leaders, our administrative leaders are partnering with a provider. So it's business and patient care, and they work together. So knowing how to work together with others is, in my opinion, a huge part. Whether you're going to be a leader in administration, or you want to be a manager in a department, because that's going to be, at Gundersen anyway, a huge expectation, I would think.
Just to add to that too, we're really big on promoting within. So just because you start at entry level doesn't mean that you can't make it to the leadership position quickly. And it doesn't mean you have to be in direct patient care either. It's both sides that get promoted. Very much internal promotion here. It's awesome.
And combine that with the tuition investment program, so you have opportunities to maybe get a master's degree or get a second degree in an area that is intriguing to you. Great opportunities there, as we said. Brenda, more questions?
Yeah, also a question, are there remote positions available right now?
Oh, that's a great question. So we have, like everybody else, tried to adjust on the fly to this whole pandemic situation. Positions that historically had not been remote are now remote. So each individual department is trying to assess their business needs and who is their customer. For example, my recruitment department, the recruiters that are on my team are working from home now that we hadn't done before. They're doing tons of virtual career fairs and events, and utilizing other technology for interviews, virtual interviews, all that kind of stuff. And before they would have been on site. Alex, I don't know if you have additional thoughts or information being from the IS area, but I know that our organization is truly trying to continue to evolve and figure that out. So we're not advertising any one role as specifically virtual, but a given role might also end up being virtual. But I'll let Alex chime in too.
Yeah, it sounded like there's still a lot of determination to be made of which employees are deemed critical on site and which employees can be permanent work from home, or a mixture, a hybrid of maybe a few days a week coming to the office and a few days work at home.
I think that's probably,
yeah, it depends on if you're in patient care. You're not going to be able to do everything virtually if you are say a nurse. My husband is actually a nurse in one of the clinic departments, and he can't do his full job virtually. So it's required that he is on site.
One of the things that I can share, even like with my department, which is corporate communications, it's really, as Alex said, there's kind of a hybrid. So really what our department has done is ask the question, is it going to be better for you to work from home, or is it going to be impossible for you to work from home? So our manager of our department really has those conversations, and for many of them, it's well, I still want to come into the office, but it's going to work best for me to come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and every other Friday, based on the needs of their personal needs, but also based on the needs of the organization as well. So hybrid is I think, a great way of putting it, Alex. There's lots and lots that's really growing exponentially across the organization. In fact, there's a huge emphasis on trying to, I'll say, engage technology to the betterment of the organization and for the employees that work here as well. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind, though, is patient care. Many of us have heard about virtual visits and that kind of thing, and we're seeing more and more of that as we push forward. Brenda, more questions, sorry.
Do you hire athletic trainers?
Yes, we do have the athletic trainer role. Again, through COVID, that threw us a little bit for a loop. We have a team of athletic trainers, and obviously schools weren't in session. And so there was a shortage of need for them in their, what would have been their normal role. So I think we're all having to reassess what are the organizational needs given this new situation with the pandemic. But yes, we do have athletic trainers. I think the future of that role is, it's a little bit uncertain right now, but it's going to still be a role that's needed because we're going to have people who need their support and their services. So yeah, it was a little bit of a bumpy summer for the athletic trainers. They did a lot of other things to help out the organization. and it gave them the opportunity to step into some other roles for a little bit too. I know we had many of them doing screenings, front door screening with patients coming in, vendors, visitors coming in, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Great. Are there special opportunities to work with the military?
In terms of gaining employment with us, we obviously encourage veterans and current military folks to apply with us. We don't have a specific role that you would fit into, but we know that everybody comes with a unique set of skills and knowledge and abilities, and we're definitely interested. I think my husband has a military background, and I definitely appreciate the service that folks in our country have given, and my whole team stands the same. So if you are interested in employment with us, yeah, just reach out. We would be more than happy to have a conversation with you.
One thing I should add before we move on, Brenda, is that I'm sitting in front of actually a display that we used earlier today. Gundersen Health System was given what's called the 7 Seals Award, and the 7 Seals are the 7 Seals of the military. And that award came from being nominated by one of our employees who serves in the military. Captain Angela Mankey is an audiologist, and Captain Mankey, in her role here at Gundersen, was deployed as Captain Mankey in Texas once COVID hit for some National Guardsmen that needed to be deployed. She was one of them. She wrote a letter to the military saying, my employer was unbelievable through this process, and Gundersen Health System got one of 5 awards in the entire state of Wisconsin just today. And again, that's why the flag is behind me. So the reason that she sent in this letter was to say how well she felt supported as a military person by her employer. A couple of things that she referenced was that she got phone calls from her employer asking her how she was doing, that they also made up the difference in her pay, meaning differential pay is what it's called. So the military was only giving her X, but her actual salary here was Y. So Gundersen made up that difference. And she thought that was a huge difference maker for her family. And she wrote a letter and we got that award. So I thought that was worth sharing. And that's a great question.
Yeah. That actually goes with one other question we have. With so many employees, how does Gundersen ensure employees don't feel like just like a number? And how is it that you do that?
I'm going to defer to Josh and Kelly and Alex if they have thoughts or reactions to that.
Yeah, Josh, you want to go on that?
For me, I guess it all boils down to like the people in charge. So like I have a really great boss and he has a really great boss, and they're all very aware of like what's going on, what our struggles are, how we can improve, and they're really open with like listening to new ideas and helping us out. So I guess that would be how I feel about that.
Alex, do you feel like a number?
No, their managers are very good, and I guess if you have any struggles at work or at home, they're more than willing to accommodate for you.
Kelly, same question. How do you not feel like a number?
I guess 2 things come to mind, and one is the employee survey that we do every year. I know, being the data supplier for that employee survey, that group works to make sure you're heard. It's not just for fun. They don't just throw that out there to get your commentary and then go throw it away. Like they listen, and they do their best to come up with ways that they can impact the organization positively from that feedback. And then the second thing I would say is I think the communication is phenomenal, like top down. The entire time we've been with COVID now, Dr. Rathgaber, our CEO, has been doing videos, just encouraging and like just humanizing everything. It's not a hierarchy here. The communication is great.
I know a lot of us want to feel like we're making a difference. Kelly, do you feel like when you come to work, you're making a difference?
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the things that I had on my top 3 of lists for items when I looked for my new job, and it was that I needed to be able to like feel like I was adding value every day. And even though I can't say, as much as I like data, I can't say that a lot of the things I do are quantified and easily, you know, percentages or dollars or anything like that. I know that with the relationships that I have and the people that I'm helping, that I'm making a difference every day.
I mean, we all want to be heard. Brenda, more questions?
We only had one last question. Is there any data analytics positions that are posted right now? They could not find one posted.
Yeah, let me just see here. I know that we have some IS positions. I know that's also not data analytics. Let's see. I don't think that we do right now. I'm sure Kelly's probably like, okay, I could use a few people to be by my side.
I am a team of 1. I expect that into the future that there'll be more of me.
I think so too. I think we keep Kelly pretty busy. And truly, data analytics is broader than just being a data analyst. While that's a job title, I think it can be program manager, project manager. I don't know if you have other thoughts in going down that road, Kelly.
Yeah, definitely agree. There's all different forms of it. It doesn't all end in the word analyst, but different departments. So I work within HR as a broad umbrella. So I'm looking at the whole organization, but like our program managers, they look at like a downline, one specific division. Maybe you're in oncology or something like that. And they have a lot of data crunching and analytics and relationship building presentations in their work as well.
Well, we invite anybody to, certainly if you want to learn more about Gundersen, go to the Gundersen Health System website. We encourage you to do that, learn more, ask questions. We wish you, anyone who has taken that time to sit through the presentation today and work with us, and if you've learned something or if there's more that you'd like to see added to a future presentation, please share that with us. We want to improve for you. We want to improve for the next generation of those that are seeking employment as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's the nice thing about our health system. We do respond. We're big, but we're not big enough that we don't care.
Thank you so much. This has been a fantastic hour. We've learned a tremendous amount. We appreciate all of you for sharing your time with us and for allowing us to learn about Gundersen Health Systems. For students, if you have not registered, make sure you do that. You can find that in the chat. And a reminder that this career track will be found on the website starting on Monday at the latest. And we have different tracks every week. So please check Handshake to see all the opportunities that are out there. Again, thank you so much to Gundersen Health Systems for spending your time with us today. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.